Well, my correct name is Bernard Norman Renouf, but my friends and family call me Norman, my second name. I went to St. Louis High School in Biddeford, Maine. I did not graduate. And then...
When you born? Where?
Oh, 1929, Biddeford, Maine.
Birthday?
Biddeford. My birthday?
Yeah.
April 25, 1929.
And you born in Maine?
Yes.
How about your family background, your parents and your siblings?
Well, my father died when he was 45, heart attack. My mother lived to be 95, and I had 3 brothers and 3 sisters. I'm the only one left.
Oh.
So
Are you the eldest or youngest?
I know I was next to the youngest.
Oh, okay.
So the youngest, my sister, died not long ago. So I'm the only survivor.
So you didn't graduate high school?
I did graduate, but not from St. Louis.
Oh, okay.
Because after I got married, I went to night school, adult high school in Hartford. I did graduate from there. So I was going to school at night, yeah.
So when was it? When did you graduate high school? When was that?
Oh, my goodness. Well, somewhere around 1960.
No, 1960. High school.
That's what I mean. High school, 1960, the night adult high school.
Oh.
Because in the St. Louis, I dropped out as a freshman, and when I went to night school, I had to do that over again.
Even after coming back from
After coming back from Korean War.
Wow, you are wonderful.
Well, it was strange. I tried to get a job at Pratt & Whitney because they were making good money there, you know, and I had no education. So they told me to go get my diploma and then come back. Well, I wanted to get in the training program, and you had to be no older than 26, I think. So I went to high school, but it took me 5 years to do the 4 years because, you know, I'm a working man. So by the time I went there, then they told me I was too old. So, waste of time, really.
Wow, man of spirit.
Yeah, it was a waste of time because everything I accomplished I could have done without going to the night school. Even I applied later on at Command Aircraft, and they were training people to be tinsmiths, and they gave an examination, and I was good in geometry, so I know that it was so easy. I know I got 100. They still didn't take me because of my age. I was even older then, so they took the cream of the crop.
That's not fair.
No, I didn't think it was fair either.
So what were you doing when the Korean War broke out?
I was unemployed.
Unemployed?
Yes.
How old were you?
I was I was 19, but I was about ready to turn 20 because I turned 20 a week after I was in the Army.
Yeah.
So I was employed because I kept quitting my jobs.
Why?
Wow.
You didn't like the job?
I didn't like the job. I also didn't like to work. And
Who wants to work?
Yeah. Plus, I was hanging around with the wrong crowd. Again, people who didn't like to work, and they were always quitting too. So finally, I had some jobs that I thought were good, but I got laid off. You know. So.
What was it?
In a machine shop, a big machine shop, Saco Lowell. I was there as a packer. I mean, they laid me off. They didn't need me anymore.
Yeah, it was during the Depression, so it might have
Well,
been very difficult.
I really don't know if it was during the Depression. How long the Depression lasted, I don't know. I know I was born in the Depression, 1929.
Right.
So I really don't know. But after that, I was getting hired in jobs like First National Supermarket or the A&P store. But when they hired me, they didn't tell me it was seasonal. It was for the Christmas rush. As soon as that was over, they'd lay me off. I also worked as a presser in a laundry, but again, that would have been okay, but I got fired because it wasn't my thing. I was too slow pressing clothes, too slow.
So you had a series of unfortunate occasions
right.
in your job applications and so on. When did you join the Army and why did you join?
I joined because I needed a job. And I joined in 1949.
Remember the month?
April.
April.
Because I turned 20 a week later, so. And my birthday is in April, so there you go. Yeah, and funny thing too, I spent a birthday behind enemy lines before getting captured. Imagine that.
So where did you go through the basic military training?
Fort Dix, New Jersey.
How long?
It was well, I forget now.
16 weeks? About?
It seems like it was 3 months or 4 months. I don't remember for sure.
What was your specialty unit?
Infantry.
Infantry? Rifleman? Or?
I started out as rifleman. That was my training. But I wound up being a machine gunner in Korea. Well, first I was the assistant machine gunner. Oh. And then when they transferred him, then they gave me the gun, so I was the machine gunner.
So you learn how to deal with the machine gun during the basic military training?
While I did learn something about the machine gun in basic training, but I had never fired one. But there was a class on how to disassemble and reassemble the gun, but that was the extent of the machine gun training I had.
So what happened after the boot camp?
Well, you know, I wound up at Fort Devens, Massachusetts for further infantry training. I even had, what do you call what the Marines do? I can't think of the word, but it's landing from barges.
Landing?
Yeah, like the Marines do. You come off a boat and get on barges, and so yeah. So I had that kind of training too. So it was logical that they pushed me into the machine gun thing because I had a lot of infantry training.
So during that time, up to that point, you didn't know anything about Korea, did you?
I didn't even know it existed. I mean, I know nothing.
You didn't learn anything about Korea from the high school?
Well, no. I should have learned a little bit in the grade school, but like I said, I was not a good student, and I didn't like geography, so I didn't pay much attention to it.
All right. So after that, what happened to you?
Well, after about 9 months on the line.
Where?
Where? All over the place. I never knew where I was. The only time I knew where I was.
I'm talking about your service before you left for Korea.
Before I left for Korea, I was at Fort Devens, Massachusetts.
Yeah. And then where did you go?
From there, I went to Korea.
When did you leave for Korea?
Well, all I know is I arrived there in September in 1950. I was among the first replacements. I didn't go there with an outfit. I went there along with other people that I didn't know. You know.
So you took a ship from...
Oh, no, I went there by airplane.
Oh, really? So where? You depart from Massachusetts?
No.
No?
I had to take a troop train to California. From there, took a plane to Hawaii. From Hawaii, we went to Johnson Island. From there, we went to Japan. The next day, I was on a Japanese boat to go to Korea.
What was your division?
I was in the 5th Regimental Combat Team, and we were attached. Most of the time, we were attached to the 24th Division. But when I first got there, which was Mason Perimeter, or Pusan Perimeter, Mason was the city I was at. Not that I saw any of it. All I saw was the farm territory, you know. But anyway, that's where I wound up. And that was the 25th Division then. The 5th RCT was basically from Hawaii. It was a Hawaiian outfit. But that's where I went as a replacement. So then, after the 25th, we got attached to the 24th Division for most of the time.
Tell me about your impression, first impression about Korea when you arrived in Busan. How was it? What was the situation there?
Well, I thought it was a very strange country because I had never seen rice paddies or anything like that, you know. So, but all I know is I was frightened.
Can you describe the scene of Busan when you arrived there, the port and the people, buildings?
I didn't see any of that. It seems everything I saw was countryside. I never saw any city except Seoul when we drove through it. All I saw was countryside, farms and whatnot. And I never knew where I was. Some people remember the hills they fought on and all that. They could be talking about a hill I was on, I don't know.
You were scared?
Oh, yeah. Certainly was. I was put into a defensive position, and I was told, yeah, Foxhole was already dug in, so I was in a defensive position, and they had some firefights there, but not while I was there. I mean, in that position. But, you know, still there was some Japanese-speaking people on our side and everything, and if they heard anything, they'd shout in Japanese because they had heard that the Koreans were afraid of the Japanese, and I can understand why. But anyway, nothing. I didn't get in any fighting there, but I never knew if there was going to be some. But the first firefight I ever got in, I never forgot it because we were told, well, it was a colored outfit. At the time, we were still segregated. So it was a colored outfit had been driven off from this mountain. And then at last report that there was no enemy there anymore, that they had left. And my outfit, my company anyway, was supposed to go up there and dig in. So thinking...
What do you mean by colored for the audience?
Black people.
How many were there? Did you see many black people there?
No, I didn't see many because we were segregated, and they kept the black people in their own outfit and so forth. So the only time, well, I saw 2 or 3 Negroes when they had come down from that hill, and later on, the only one I saw is I wound up getting a black lieutenant in charge of my platoon, which went fine. His name was Jackson. He was a very good officer.
And where was it? You talking about in Mason now or in Busan?
Oh, now I don't know where I was.
Oh.
I
Not
was
Busan, right?
No, Busan. I was only there about 2 weeks, and then we started moving up.
And you went to Mason.
Mason was the first place I went to.
And then did you go further north?
Well, after that it was always north, but I never knew where I was.
Okay. So tell me about the encounter, the battle that
Well,
remember.
Well, we went up, and of course, you know how it is. You go up in a zigzag way, following trails, because going straight is too hard.
Right.
But this was at night, and me and a few others did not feel like going that route, so we decided to go straight ahead. So there must have been maybe 8 of us that got there before everybody else, and everything was quiet. So we sat down and started eating sea rations and whatnot. Finally, the rest of the company showed up, and then I hear the lieutenants say to the sergeants, all right, I want to show you where I want your people to dig in. So they were gone, what, 4 or 5 minutes, and all hell broke loose. And that's where my platoon sergeant got killed with a grenade. And then I hear sounds like hundreds of feet coming up the hill from the other side. But they were there all the time, and we didn't know that.
North Korean.
Yeah, North Korean. So we didn't know, you know. So when they started coming up and all that noise from the explosions, you know, so we started running back down the hill until we see what's going on. So well, I guess we went down about halfway, and then I waited. And then I hear a sergeant's voice that I recognize. All right, men, let's get back up there and take this hill. So what was it? I don't know if it was 8 or 10 of us. Anyway, we started, and that's when I was really scared. But all I could think of was the movies, John Wayne and those things, you know, what they did heroically.
Did you know about that?
Yeah, because, you know, I think, well, I got to act like that, you know. So I started going up. And first thing you know, they start shooting at us and everything. We went, and I didn't hear any more from that sergeant or anything. We went back down again, halfway. And then I was so tired by that time, and I think everybody else with me was tired, I actually fell asleep.
In the middle of battle.
In the middle of battle. I mean, it was quiet then. I mean, it was quiet. I was so tired I fell asleep. What woke me up was our troops down below were spraying the hill with 50 caliber machine guns. Well, so hey, let's get out of here. So we left. We went down, and they were all down there. Everybody had left except us.
Your platoon?
Not my platoon, just about 8 or 10 of us that had been waiting for orders. We were waiting for orders too, but we never heard any more. So yeah. We come down and where are you guys? Where you been? We were on the hill while you were shooting at us. So I learned something that time. I was never the first one to get up to the top of the hill, and never the last one to get off either. My first firefight. Yeah, I was scared, but I was still acting like I thought I was supposed to, you know.
Were you thinking? You said that John Wayne's and all this, you know.
Well, yeah, I figured. Well, that's the way. That's the way.
Were you thinking of somebody else or like family?
No, not at the time. I was just thinking of what my job was supposed to be, and whether I was scared or not that I had to do it. You know, like they did in the movies.
Did you have a girlfriend? Just keep talking.
Not at the time.
Not at the time. So you're not worried about your girlfriend?
No, I was worried about saving my life. Oh, you know, not really that. I didn't care about getting killed. I didn't want to get wounded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's. I was never one to put up with a lot of pain, so I didn't want to get wounded. As if they drop a shell on me, fine, I'm gone. I won't know nothing.
Did you think that why am I here?
Well, I guess it did cross my mind, but the main thing is we all knew we were there to stop communism. That was it.
So tell me about after that. How you said that you were POW.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. How did you? Captured by the North Koreans or the Chinese, and where and when?
I got captured by the Chinese.
Where?
Again, I don't know. It had to be above the 38 parallel by quite a bit. I know it was the last big push that the Chinese made. And it was a big push, all right. You know, they pushed us back very far. And then we went back as far as we could.
Yeah.
But then nobody in my rank knew what was going on. We didn't know it was a Chinese big push. We we didn't know that everybody was going to retreat back to the 38th parallel or whatever.
So was it end of 1950 or early 1951?
Well, that had to happen in 51, that episode.
When did you capture? Do you remember?
Let's see. I got captured in... I did spend one Christmas with the troops, so that had to be 51. So I got captured in the spring of 51. And which had... The spring of 51, it had to be April because I wound up getting my birthday hiding in a cave. And we hid in that cave for 3 or 4 days. And the reason for that is we didn't know what was going on. Because usually when we have lost ground, our troops would take it back the next day. So we said, well, we'll hide here, and when they come back, we'll come out. But they never came back, you know.
So you were in the cave?
Yeah.
And then what happened? Tell me about it.
Well, like I say, we spent at least 3 days and nights with no food and no water. And we were trying to decide whether to try to make it back, but we knew it was far because the sounds of the guns were so far away. So one night we decided to go ahead.
What do you mean by we? How many?
Oh, an unlucky number, about 13. And some of my company got out. But what happened to me is this was at nighttime, and we were walking single file following the captain. And I was towards the last of the line, along with the 13, and following, and about 10 yards apart because they were dropping mortars on us, you know. So one guy lost sight of the man in front of him, and he went right instead of straight, and everybody behind him went with him, and I was one of those. So I don't know, if we kept going, I probably would have been fighting my way out with the rest of the company, because we had been put there to delay the enemy while everybody else ran. We didn't know that either, because I wouldn't have stayed. I don't think so.
You end up being in the cave.
Yeah. So on the last night, we decided to try to make it. And I don't think we walked any more than 2 miles, and we were too weak. We realized that we would never make it. We went back to the cave. Then we put it up to a vote whether we should go out and surrender. And that's what it came out, the vote. So, yeah, let's surrender. We got no choice. So we destroyed our weapons so nobody would be able to use them. But I kept 2 grenades because I wasn't sure if they were going to be Chinese or Koreans. And if they were going to be North Koreans, my plan was to try to walk in a group and pull the pins.
Why?
Because I figured they would have tortured me to death anyway, and I would have preferred to go out the quick way and bring a bunch with me.
How did you know? I mean, why do you think that there is a difference between Chinese and North Koreans in terms of
well,
treatment of the...
I was in the war long enough to hear, you know, what was going on, that the North Koreans were treating POWs very badly and the Chinese better. So I figured, well, I'll take my chances with the Chinese. So it turned out it was a good decision because they were Chinese, and so. But unfortunately.
Can you describe me the kind of scene, how you captured, by when, kind of the moments that you were captured? We
were walking single file, looking for the Chinese actually. And it didn't take long to find them. But we found them instead of them finding us, you know. So the first thing I saw, while there was an American plane going by, and the Chinese started hollering in Chinese, you know, Pyongyang or whatever they say, whatever, I think that's the word in Chinese. And they got down, and one officer fired his pistol in the air as a warning. But they already knew we were there, though. So everybody laid down, and we did the same thing. But then I knew they were Chinese, just by the way they spoke.
Mm-hmm.
So I hid my 2 grenades in a bush. But to this day, I fret that some children may have picked them up. But I wasn't thinking about that then.
You never know. You never know. So don't think that way, okay? You never know.
Anyway, one Chinaman come out, and he goes like this.
What does that mean?
It means, okay, number one, you'll be okay. But I didn't know what it meant.
Oh.
The British know what that means, thumbs up,
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
But there wasn't an expression that we knew. So I said to myself, don't tell me they're going to hang us by the thumbs. I didn't know. No, but they meant, you'll be okay, you did the right thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so the first thing they did was feed us each a little bowl of rice and told us to eat slowly. Because if we eat fast, as hungry as we were...
Did they speak English?
Well, they had some interpreters. Yeah. Then they didn't speak very good English, but we understood.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
Ask you guys to eat slowly.
Yeah, because they said if we don't, it'll knot up in our stomach.
Yeah.
And especially rice, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, still ate too fast. But
You've been starving to death.
oh, yeah. So that was okay. I mean, you know. And then from then on, we were marching north. And
How many meals did you eat per day?
well, during that period, I was eating 1 meal a day. And it wasn't always good. I mean, it was either rice and a tablespoon of soybeans. And sometimes we didn't get that. Sometimes we got something that looked like sand. But I don't know what it was. And when it's dry and you put it in your mouth, then it feels like peanut butter when it starts melting. But I never did know what that was.
Did they beat you? Did they treat you well, or how did they?
I got treated well. I only got a kick in the ass one time, and that was my own stupidity, because the guard did not understand English, and they had all of us in this tent, and it was so hot in that tent, and we wanted to get some air. So like a jerk, I go out and try to talk the guard into letting us have some air, and we didn't want to hear any of it. Back in, you know, and he took his rifle out. Okay, I turned around, and as I was going back in, I got a boot in the can, you know. But that's the only time I got hit.
Were you tied?
No. There was no reason to tie us, because there's no way we could escape. I mean, you know, we're the wrong color to begin with. It's not like in the World War II, you know, in Germany. I mean, people same color and everything. Well, and then you had help from the underground and all that, but we didn't have that, so we knew there was no sense. Even in the prison camp, there was no fences, no need of it.
How was Chinese soldier spirit and their logistics? Can you tell me anything about Chinese soldiers at the time that you were marching toward north?
They seemed to be in good spirit, but then again, everyone that we were dealing with were people who were delivering food and ammunition and stuff like that, transport, all right? Mm-hmm. So they were not going to be mean like the guys on the line, you know. So we had it made that way. But the traveling on foot to north was always like back and forth, because we had one outfit coming down would have us, and then an outfit going up would have us, and so forth. So, and then people started getting sick from beriberi, and I wound up being one of the stretcher bearers to carry somebody.
You mean your clique, your people, your soldiers?
Yeah.
So 13 of you still survived at the time, right?
Yeah, but by that time that we were going north, we joined other POWs. You know, first thing you know, there was about 100 of us, if not more. You know, wow. going north. People from different outfits or different, got captured at a different time and whatnot.
And different countries, right?
Were
all Americans?
These were all Americans. Well, when we got to the prison camp, we found some that were different. Like half the camp was English and half the camp was American. And by the way, on the trip up there, after a while, when we got far enough up north, we did get on a train, boxcars, and travel at night. So that saved us something, except that when they stop in a tunnel and during the day, the fumes from the engine filling up the tunnel, we thought we were going to die. We finally came out on our own and went outside, regardless of what they had to say. We couldn't stay there. And they let us. And that day, they gave everybody a can of food. We don't know what was in there because they took a can of food, a regular can. But they took the label off, so we didn't know what it was. So
what was it?
I don't know. I figure it must have been dog food or cat food because they took the label off, so we wouldn't know what it was. But it tasted good to us. We were hungry.
American?
The food?
Yeah.
Don't know.
You couldn't tell the difference?
I couldn't tell because I never ate dog food or cat food before, so I don't know.
Maybe I don't think there's
don't know.
Canned food for the dogs and animals.
But I still don't know what it was.
So where did you go? What camp did you go? Do you
Well,
remember the name? Was it Gyeokdong?
I don't know the name of the town.
What did you cross the river?
No. We stayed on this side. We were about 15 miles from the Yellow River. And as far as I know, it was camp number 3. And that's where, every time I wrote a letter, that was my address, camp number 3. And yet, when I went to a POW reunion about 5 years ago, everybody said it was camp number 1. I thought, what? How can it be when I was writing number 3 all the time and I was getting return mail that way? So I don't care.
Was it the delta area of the Yalu River?
I have no idea. I just know.
You never researched back about it?
No. We were in the middle of North Korea, about 15 miles from the Yellow River. And if you know where the English prisoners were, then you would know where I was. Because all the English were in our camp. And the camp was divided in half, British and American.
That must be in Gyeokdong.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably was.
Do you remember when you entered that camp?
It had to be either the last part of May or June.
Oh, okay.
Because I got captured in April. I remember what we was eating.
In the camp?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is it?
On a good day, which didn't come very often, we did get rice. But most of
white rice.
White rice, or maybe we call it yellow rice here. It wasn't polished rice, okay? But
once a day, right?
Oh yeah,
One
but
meal a day.
no, we got 2 meals a day in the camp.
Really?
Yep, 2 meals a day. Or was it 3? Let's see. No, we got 3 meals a day, and 2 in the winter.
Wow, that's different.
Yeah, and the reason why it was 2 meals in the winter is because they figured we'd be going to bed early, so we didn't need 3 meals. We didn't get a lot for breakfast, you know. We got something that looked like milk, but I don't know what it was. Maybe soy milk, I don't know. That and what they call, the Chinese call them swat sticks, but they're supposed to be sweet sticks. They look like crawlers, like donuts.
So you including that white drinks, white, you said?
Yeah.
Kind of soup.
Yeah, it's like skim milk, except it didn't have the...
Right, so you include those and you're saying it's 3 meals a day, right?
Yeah, I include that.
Yeah.
And so in noontime we usually had sorghum, which I never knew what sorghum was until then. And Chinese said they called it Indian rice, but it was a purple color. And some of the guys said that, well, some of the guys down south had experienced it, that's something they fed to their hogs. And
what were you thinking when you were in the camp?
oh, just thinking about getting released. And trying to stay healthy too. And plus, there was a lot of people that died, and I didn't want to be one of them. The ones that died is because they couldn't eat the food that was given to them. But I ate everything they gave me.
Somebody tried suicide, right?
That's possible, but I don't know of a case. I don't know of any case like that. People died of starvation because they couldn't eat what the food that was given to them.
Why couldn't they eat?
They just couldn't get it down. Well, they didn't like it, but also it didn't agree with them. I mean, they just couldn't get it down. I mean, they just get so done. They get very, and so when you saw somebody laying there with flies on their teeth, you know they only had a day or 2 left,
Where did you sleep?
I slept on the floor. We had what they did is they took over a village and made that a prison camp. So it was regular Korean dwellings. So they heat the floors from their little kitchen. Whatever they do the cooking, well, the fire goes under the floor and it heats it and it stays hot all night. So that was the heat we had.
You had a heat?
We had heat, yeah.
Even during the winter?
But we had wood details. Spent the summer, we spent everything except the winter, going out collecting wood for the winter. And everybody had to carry so many pounds per season, And so when you came in with your wood, they'd weigh it. So that's the wood we used to heat the floors in the winter. Also for the cooking. We had our own cooks.
Oh, really?
Well, they became cooks. Those who volunteered to be cooks. That's all they did.
It's quite different from the story that I got from other POW, that they didn't even have any heat during the winter. I think it might have been a different camp.
Well, that's the way it was in the camp I was in.
So you had a heat. And
we had heat.
3 meals, and it was Chinese.
It was Chinese. And also we had to go to school every day.
What do you mean school? What kind of school are you talking about?
Brainwashing, trying to make communists out of us, and telling us how good communism is and how bad capitalism is and so forth. So every day, classes, which
Chinese?
the Chinese interpreters were giving us the classes. And some of the interpreters had lived in New York City, and they could talk English very well, And they kept saying that we were there because of the rich people, the millionaires. We were there because the millionaires were making money selling arms and so forth.
What did you think about that?
Well, I thought it was a lot of hogwash, I mean, I knew that the millionaires were making money, but that's not why we were there. And we didn't start the war. The North Koreans did.
Were you kind of free inside of the camp? Or could you tell me?
I had a lot of freedom. I had a lot of freedom inside the camp. I mean, aside from certain hours that you had to go to school or things like that, or wood detail or detail to go pick up food, you know, for the company. What was I getting into anyway? I forgot the question.
What's the typical day?
A typical day.
Were you able to write?
Yes, I could write all
Were
on.
you given paper and pencil? Or?
Yes.
Oh.
I was able to write. I don't know how many letters went out. A letter didn't go out without the Chinese reading it first. And if they didn't like what they were reading, they threw the letter out, you know. So one way to get a letter out was write a little propaganda that favored the Chinese. Then you knew it would go out, and you hope your family would read between the lines.
Did you confirm that your family was reading?
Yeah. Matter of fact, when I got home, some of the letters I wrote, my mother had saved. So.
Were you able to receive the letter from your family?
I received some. I didn't receive them all, but once in a while I received one.
Ah. Do you still keep those letters?
I don't know if I still have them now. I'm not sure, because after a while I got tired of saving them, you know. I may have thrown them away 10 years ago. I don't know. Don't know for sure. Still, I had some newspaper articles and whatnot, you know. But
before we started our interview, you saw my website, the foundation's website,
yeah.
where that interviews and artifacts are collected from Korean War veterans. Right?
Yeah.
If you share any documents or any artifacts related to your Korean service during the war, if you share that, it can be in the website so that many people can see those. Would you be willing to dig out your closet to see if you still have letters and other documents, newspapers, anything?
Well, I'll take a look. I think I may still have some newspaper stuff.
So it's a quite different stories. According to another interview with the Korean War, the POW, they were in the Pyeokdong camp, and they got only one meal a day. There's no heat at all, and inside of that room, 14 people were sleeping like by their side, so that they could have a heat from the bodies during the winter. And many people tried suicide, and they actually died of it.
I wonder. Well, I wonder if they got there in the early part or something, because I may have got there when things started to get better. You know, it's the only thing I can think of. Because the only people that died were those that died of malnutrition. There was quite a bit of that. But I ate stuff that I never ate before or since, like seaweed. But I know seaweed's good for you, but we needed the iodine. But so I ate it, whether I liked it or not. And dried honeysuckle, I never ate that in my life. I didn't even know what honeysuckle was till I ate it.
Did they torture you?
I never got tortured.
Anybody been tortured there?
That I didn't see it, but I heard of some that got tortured, and they were what they called dissidents. And when they were separated from us, I know they were tortured, yeah. But I didn't see it.
When were you released?
In July of 1953.
After the armistice?
Yeah.
Remember the date?
No, I just remember. I'm lucky to remember the month.
Do you remember the date that you were going to be released?
Well, I remember, but I can't tell you the date or the day.
I know. You remember your thoughts.
Oh, I was overjoyed. Overjoyed.
What did you do?
Well, What did I?
Tell me that.
What did I do? Well, I don't know. I think all I did was smile and go in the tent, and you know the nursing tent, and all the nurses were black, and I thought even they were good looking. I mean, I never thought. I shouldn't say things like that, but still, I never had seen what I considered beautiful-looking women, black women, but that day I thought they were.
What do you mean, black woman?
Negroes.
Black woman there?
Nurses, yeah.
In the camp?
Where I got released.
Oh, when you were released.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
Panmunjom or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Were you transported by trucks?
Yes. North Korean, or our Chinese trucks.
How did Chinese treat you when you were released?
Well, they treated us as well as they could, but, you know.
Do you remember anything?
Well, this is when we first started getting American cigarettes. About 2 weeks before we were released, we were getting American cigarettes. Yeah. And all the cigarettes we could smoke. And before that, no, because they would not allow the Red Cross to come in or give us the stuff. So, yeah, we had that, plus we had a lot to eat on the way back, what I call those sweet sticks. They call them SWAT sticks, because they couldn't say sweet, I guess. Well, you know, some of those Chinese interpreters, you know, don't lost it and don't broke it. You know what I mean? But we understood.
How did the Americans treat you when you were returned through the Panmunjom?
Well, they treated us like heroes. Yeah. And on the same day, I got on a helicopter to Japan. And then Japan, there was a hospital ship there waiting for us. So that's when I discovered I had a TB scar. But I don't know why, but it healed itself. Even before I was returned to our own line, it had healed itself. But I know that I caught it from somebody that lived in the same room we did, because he had a very bad case. He spent a lot of time in the hospital. I was worried about my health a lot, because it's the medical facilities were pretty bad. I think that what they call the doctor was nothing but a first aid man, you know. The only thing he could treat was worms.
So what happened after the checkup in the hospital ship? You were brought back to the States?
Yeah, on the hospital ship.
On the hospital ship?
Yeah, all the way back.
All the way back. Oh, that must have been very good.
Well, yeah, they were. They wanted to get us back in pretty good shape by the time we got home.
Right.
So from there we went to Texas for a day or two, then a plane all the way to Westover Air Base.
And then?
That's where my family was waiting for me.
Oh.
And yeah. And
Tell me
then
about the day the moment that you reunited with your family.
I was overjoyed. Except for smiling and hugging and all this, I don't know what else I can say. And my family, I had all moved from Maine to Connecticut while I was a prisoner of war, because there was not much work in Maine, so they were over here. So they lived in Elmwood, so I was living with them until I got married. Got married to a woman that used to work with my kid sister, and they used to talk about me, so I was already snagged before I even got off the plane. I'm still married to her. No, I have not.
You don't want to go back?
No, not really.
Why not? You have such bad memories. So that's
Well, it's not that so much. I just don't want to spend my time going over there. I'd rather spend my time doing what I like to do.
What do you like to do?
I like to play music and entertain in nursing homes, and I like to play chess. Those are I do that, and I guess I have so many medical problems that I guess that's become a hobby too, taking care of myself.
What instrument do you play?
I play the piano or the keyboard.
When did you learn that?
Well, I knew a little bit about playing the piano. I had taken a few lessons from my aunt, and did a lot of self-teaching. Then when I went to Korea, while in the prison camp, we had one accordion for the whole camp, and the accordion got passed around. And in the American side, I'm the only one that could learn to play the accordion because of what I knew on the piano. And we had a guy, so I entertained the troops. When it was my turn with the accordion, I used to entertain the troops.
What did you play at the time?
I played all the old songs that I knew by heart, you know, like I played Peg of My Heart and Sentimental Journey and things like that, you know.
Did you sing some of it?
I didn't sing then, but now I sing.
Just for interview?
I didn't sing at all in the camp. All I did was play, but now I sing.
Yeah, so please sing one of those songs that you used to play in the camp.
Okay, you want Louis Armstrong or myself?
Yeah.
When you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. Oh, yes. But gonna take a sentimental journey, gonna make my heart at ease.
Thank you so much. And you must be very popular there, right?
I'm popular in the nursing homes, yes.
No, I mean in the camp.
I was to a point.
What do you mean?
Well,
they took away?
No, they didn't take away. It's just some of the prisoners thought that I was a turncoat.
Turn what?
Turncoat. In other words, a traitor.
Oh.
And I wasn't, but some of them thought that, and I can see why, but they were wrong. We were told from the beginning to have an open mind, you know. So, okay, I decided to have an open mind. But that doesn't mean that I believed everything they were telling us. It means that I was listening and making a judgment. So, but the real thing that was bad is they made a tape of an American band playing music, and it was shown in China and on TV and everything. And I was in that band. I was playing the drums, but nobody said anything about a message going with it, saying that everybody in the band was called the Americans bad and all that stuff. Nobody said that, or that they were going to say that, but this is what was printed, and also the names of the ones who played in the band. But I never said anything like that. I never signed anything either. But when the magazine or the newspaper came over, you see, we used to get the Shanghai News, which was printed in English. When that came in the camp, they were reading this, and my name was there, you know. So right away, everybody thought that.
What's the name of newspaper again?
Shanghai News. So people got the wrong idea. But I was still popular, but in some circles, no. You know what I mean? Those who knew me know differently. The ones who lived in my room, they knew.
How many
different.
were you in the room?
Probably I didn't count, but maybe 12. We didn't have to sleep sideways.
So you had to stop playing?
No, I didn't stop playing because this was still good, you know. And also, there was a very good piano player. I mean, he could play jazz, he could play classical and all this, but he refused to play the accordion unless I put it on and laid down on the table and did the pumping, and then he played the accordion with just the keyboard. But he was progressive. And now I'm associating with this guy.
What did you think you did by playing the accordions to your...
Oh, I thought I was entertaining them and making them happy, you know.
Yeah.
And there was 2 guitars for every 200 men. So I learned how to play the guitar too, but just chords.
Wow. You had a guitar?
Yeah.
Inside of the camp?
Yeah, I could play the guitar every...
Chinese been treating you...
They were treating us pretty good, yes. I'm saying we were treated better than any prisoners in history.
Huh.
Yeah. But they, like I said, they had an agenda. If they treated us bad, there's no way we would come back home as communists.
You said 2 guitars?
2 guitars for every 200 men.
Huh. So you learned it there?
Yeah.
Do you happen to think about those days in the prison?
Oh, yeah, every day.
What do you...
I think about some of the friends I had. I think about, I used to play about 20 games of chess a day. So I think about some of that.
You play the chess there?
Oh, yeah. Well, I had to make my own set, but I played, yeah.
How did you make that?
The army boots that we had have a piece of steel in the arch.
Oh.
So when the boots were no good anymore, we saved that piece of steel and sharpened it on stones, and that's what we use for carve. So you pick up branches that are right size and everything and carve them to make them reasonable looking chess pieces. No work of art.
Didn't Chinese confiscate any of those kind of metals?
Well, no, they didn't. I guess they didn't know we had them. I don't. So
you made this chess set there in the camp and you played it?
Yeah, and I taught a lot of people how to play it too.
What is your feeling about your being end up in the prison and fighting in a country that you never knew before?
Well, I didn't mind. I didn't have anything against fighting over there. The only thing I minded was my safety. I was worried about myself, but I didn't mind the idea that we were fighting there to stop communism.
Did you pray?
Oh.
Did you have a religion?
I prayed all right. Yeah, Catholic.
Are you Catholic?
Yeah, I prayed all right all the time. It saved my life. Oh yeah, I prayed for my safety.
How often did you do that?
Oh, I don't know. It seemed like, I don't know. I never counted. I mean, as far as I know, I might have been praying most of the day, but not on my knees or anything. I mean, I could have been marching and praying.
Did you have confidence and trust in God that you will be released?
Believe me, yes. Well, no, not so much about release, but I had confidence that my prayers were being heard. But whether they would be granted or not, I didn't know that.
Could you share one of the prayer that you used to do?
Well, yeah, I mean, naturally the rosary, which you know what that consists of. Our Father and Hail Mary and so forth. But others were just simply my own words, Father, grant that I be safe today and tomorrow, and that I have a safe return home. Ask this in the name of Jesus Christ. Something similar.
have you followed up with the developments that occurred after the war in Korea? Do you know anything?
Only what I read in the papers.
So you know that this is
Prosperous.
very strong and economy,
Yep.
democracy.
Prosperous. Very strong democracy. Everybody seems to be happy. Compare that to North Korea. Everything down, poor people.
What is the legacy of Korean War and Korean War veterans?
The legacy. Well, I don't know. I think we were appreciated more than those poor soldiers that went in Nam. You know, the ones in Nam, they came back, and some of them they were looked at like they were monsters. You know, I still feel that we came back. People looked at us as heroes. We probably didn't get the respect that we should have, you know, compared to Second World War veterans, but we didn't get insulted anyway or anything like that. But those poor guys in Vietnam, I mean, those who didn't want to go, they went to Canada, they were considered criminals. And now the ones that went and came back, they're considered baby killers and whatnot, you know, so I feel bad for them.
How do you put your service and life during the time of Korean War into a perspective? How do you see it? Recollecting all those memories now, what do you think?
Well, I think it was just an experience. It might have been a good experience. I don't know. I could have done without it. But I don't know what to say about that. At the time when I first came back, I thought that I would do it again, if called upon. But after a few years, well, not a few, maybe after 20 years of reflecting, I don't know if I could do that again.
No. Any message to young generations in America?
Well,
about your experience in war?
I don't really have a message, except if they're called upon to defend their country, then they should do so and honorably. But other than that, I don't have much to say.
Your name in Korean too, as it pronounced here, Norman Renouf.
Oh, how about that?
And the medal. Thank you very much again, Norm.
You're welcome.